What's up, y'all? I'm John, and I'm the founder and host of Bourbon Battle Buddies, and this is the Bourbon Battle Buddies podcast. It's a show that combines my passion for whiskey with a desire to help America's heroes. They are the men and women in uniform that serve the people of this great nation. Here, we will create a conversation of positivity and motivation and light a spark that will help change the narrative of our servicemen and women suffering from the sometimes invisible, sometimes not so invisible scars that would become their sacrifice to our nation. Sit down in your favorite chair, grab yourself a glass, pour your beverage of choice, and tonight, if you drink, come drink one with us.
This is Audrey McHugh, founder and president of the Amazonian Warrior Foundation. At my foundation, we help veterans break up with PTSD through the release of burden hikes and board sports. We also provide temporary emergency assistance to homeless veterans as needed. The craft and magical expression of bourbon is something quintessentially a veteran experience. Let's explore how to heal from PTSD and exchange ideas on using whiskey for good while drinking whiskey for good.
What's up?
Hi.
Oh.
Audrey. Are you sure you haven't started drinking the bourbon yet, Audrey?
We
No,
both have.
I go to. Anyway, I'm still recovering from surgery. I have 2 more weeks, so I gotta try to not put my arms up yet. So
Please be careful.
I'm trying. I am, you know me. 6 weeks of recovery, and then still healing from 6 months of a sprained meniscus. I'm just like dying here. I'm just like, well, at least there's bourbon.
Doesn't seem to be in your nature to sit still for 6
No.
of anything.
6 minutes, 6 months, 6 years. No.
I mean, I stay still on the surfboard for 6 minutes, right? A little surfboard, hey, my one wheel, hey. I can get that done. But other than that, yeah, I'm a go-go person, and so it's just like recovery. What?
No.
Right? I'm an Amazonian. We do not recover. Have you heard? This human form of mine is a little slow, but that's okay.
So, we'll start the night. I want to give a special thank you to the People's Patriot Project for helping us out with everything and really being a supporter of everything that we had planned from the beginning. They're also a sponsor for the podcast. Mark and Andrea, they're a fantastic duo. They do what they can to give back to the veteran and first responder community. Try to help lighten the load for the veterans and first responders whenever they can. You can always catch them on the We Got Your 6 at 6 podcast on Sunday nights. Tonight, we're going to be speaking with someone from Audrey's camp that I have had the pleasure of following and meeting. And we're going to have a conversation with Miss Desiree Simone. She is a personal development coach and speaker, and you might also know her as the Boozie Bestie.
This is all true.
Thank you for sharing your greatness with us today. I appreciate it.
Oh my God, it is my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
So I think that before we get into it, we should just drink to your husband. So everybody knows my bay is Blanton's. I got some Blanton's red, but we drink to your husband, and so that's
this gorgeous Irishman here of some nice Jameson. Absolutely.
So, I'm gonna drink Jameson 18. Cheers, boom.
Black Barrel.
All right.
So I have a very funny story about Jameson Black Barrel. This is how I actually got into it. So I live in Panama City Beach, Florida, and happened to be at a wedding in Savannah the weekend before Hurricane Michael.
Oh gosh.
So I'm finishing up in Savannah and I'm getting ready to drive back, and I'm literally like passing Jacksonville. And at the time, we didn't really know the full projection of Michael. So I'm thinking, I'm going to go home, it might curve, but I'll get prepared. I'm getting all these notifications. I'm getting phone calls. I'm getting the emergency text response. Right. At the last minute, it's starting to shift.
It's some serious shit.
Right. Yeah. Like serious. And so my boss calls me and she's like, where are you? And I'm like, I just passed Jacksonville. Like I'm heading from Savannah, Jacksonville back to Panama City Beach. And she's like, go back in Jacksonville and do not come here. And I was like, what? And she's like, if you're far enough, people are going that direction, turn your happy butt around and go. Right. So I turn back around, I go to Jacksonville, I check into one of our sister properties, and I'm seeing like Jim Cantori 3 blocks away from my hotel property, and I'm like, shit.
Well, now, when you see Jim, you gotta keep going.
Shit is real. So I packed stuff to go to this wedding for the weekend in Savannah. So I didn't really come prepared. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm checked in my hotel. Let me get some snacks, some basic provisions. So I got like extra pair of socks, like extra pair of underwear, because I didn't know how long I was going to be out of town.
Right.
And, basic snacks. And then was like, I need to find a liquor store immediately.
Amen.
Saw the Black Barrel, had never tried it, wanted to try it. Proceed to buy a bottle of it, and I will never forget. I'm literally in my bed in my hotel room in Jacksonville watching Jim Cantori right down the street from my hotel property, chugging Black Barrel out of the bottle. And I'm just like, I have no idea what I'm about to come home to.
Right.
Absolutely. And I go back days later, taking care of friends, taking care of family. I was very grateful and very lucky that I had minimal damage. My hotel had minimal damage. Some of my employees were lucky. Some of them were not. Mm-hmm. But Black Barrel always has this like bittersweet memory for me. Right. That it was my emotional support bottle during that very difficult time of literally in bed watching Jim Cantori. And I'm just like, shit, like my office is just like, like not far from where he's standing. And I finished that bottle in probably like 36 hours because I was watching it, keeping in touch with family, friends, like emotionally.
Okay, so 36, that's a lot. That's a long time.
Like crying my eyes out, like checking up with my staff, getting updates. And I'm just like, what am I about to cut? Like in bed with that. And I think like Cheez-Its. That was what I survived on during Hurricane Michael.
That sounded like that's what you needed, and I'm glad that you had minimal damage and that everything was safe and it turned out well, and you got a husband out of it. So I mean,
he did, and then I ended up getting engaged to an Irishman anyway, so it works out perfectly.
Yeah, I like that, right?
So there you go.
Full circle.
So yeah, but that's my husband, and then Audrey's husband is Blanton's, and that's kind of how our worlds got together. We both were in love with some amazing men.
Yes, I would say so. I love those horses, right? They always run good races for me. They always do well. They always do well in my derby.
They just did. So that's where my my nice little Jameson Black Barrel story comes from. But yeah, that's why it was very appropriate that I just did a little bottle kill for.
If you've never been through that process that you're talking about, where you're not at your place of residence, but you're watching TV, the storm or whatever natural disaster occurs. Yeah. I was when Katrina came through. I'm in South Louisiana. And when Katrina came through, I was actually overseas, and the phone calls were extremely limited to start with, and then you start making them, and nobody's there to pick up, and you're just left with your imagination, and it's really no good.
Oh gosh, I don't even know how. Michael's one thing, Katrina's a totally different. So
Well,
I cannot even imagine.
Deployed to Katrina. ACU2 deployed to Katrina. So those boats I told you about that we used for World War II, actually used them to operate in Hurricane Katrina. So the LCUs and LCACs. So the stuff that we cleaned off of those boats when I came back from Katrina, it was, I still remember that smell, right? Like I will never forget that. And it was just devastating. So, and that area is still recovering. They've made it a nice little touristy area, but the people, even after all of that, are still suffering, and they still need housing built, and a hell of a lot more help than they're getting. So Louisiana still needs help.
Absolutely.
So Desiree, what got you into first, maybe just introduce yourself and kind of tell them what you do. And then I'd love to know, what got you into being a coach for personal development?
Yeah. So I have always been known as the Boozie Bestie, and it worked kind of parlaying into what I'm doing now, because I always like to tell people I am the friend, the person that everyone would always go to for really great advice. I think naturally because I look like Oprah, that's why it's always been a thing that's worked for me.
Okay.
And so it just worked hand in hand. But I'm also the self-destructive, persuasive friend who's going to give you life advice while also giving you your second glass of Jameson. So you're going to get advice, and we're going to work through this, and it's probably going to be alcohol fueled. And so out of all of the jokes and everything, it just became one of those things where friends were like, I really appreciate listening to you, and you really give me great insight. And so one of the things I learned over the past few years is you really just have to parlay that thing that you're very good at. And I have always been a very good listener and a person who's great at being supportive and slightly persuasive when it comes to alcohol. So all I did was just heighten that up into what I do now on a personal development level, which is getting people. I always like to tell people I focus on getting people in touch with their inner badass. So if you're tired of living small, if you're so tired of saying, oh, I've always wanted to do this, and I have this dream, and I have this passion, and I don't know what to do, I'm the person who's going to be like, okay, so when are we getting started? Because we're not doing this. So when you were first even talking about the Amazonian Warrior Foundation, I remember coming to you and I was like, great. So website, TikTok, Snapchat, what are we going to do? What plan? Oh, so you want to do a fundraiser? Great. What do you want help on? So I've always been that person, and mainly because I get so much joy out of it. When you were doing one of your first tastings and I was like, I will make you an image, I will send you this. Then to see you host it, I remember just sitting back as a proud mama going, that was just a vision that she had, and look at her just run with it. So as a personal development coach, that's something that truly fuels me, and it gives me a lot of passion. And then ultimately I can sit back with, Jameson Black Barrel and celebrate the successes of my friends.
Yeah, I would definitely say as your friend, you've always been super encouraging, right? And I just remember when I first started my Instagram, and you already know, I left social media due to domestic violence. The listeners know that as well. And so my following became very small after not being on there for 3 years or whatever. And it was so nice to come back, because at one time I had more followers than you, right? And then I come back and see my channel is slaying it, right? And I'm so stoked for you. And then you're like, you have to get on TikTok. And I was like, I'm getting there. I'm trying.
And I'm like, girl, I will make you a schedule. This is what you need to do.
And I still need to follow that schedule.
You do need to do the schedule that I had created for you. Because I want you to be a success. That's something that I think is so important. I mean, not that we don't love Jonathan, but it's so important for women to sit here and really promote their chances to just absolutely kill it in whatever arena fuels their passion.
Right. It's not Right. It's about empowerment for each other. And I think the more that we realize that, there's no barriers, it's inclusivity, right? The stronger we get. So it doesn't matter to me what sex you are, but so long as you practice inclusivity and you work on talent, I think it all falls into place, right? But always have the right people in your six is important. You know, having someone in your corner like that and who's got your six is so important. And so I am proud to call you one of my friends. It just happens to be that you're my Boozie best friend too.
I know. And I'm actually drinking. It's hard to see the etching, but a really good friend of mine, Christina, for Christmas got me etched glasses that have a D on it and then Boozie Bestie underneath it. So I'm drinking out of my official Boozie Bestie glass that eventually will be part of my merch.
That's what's up.
Because you know a girl's got merch.
Yes, she does. Thank God. So what made you want to start drinking whiskey, right? So we know how you found your Irishman, and now you're actually going to marry into
marry one.
marry into my clan. Go ahead.
I know.
So I'm stoked for you. But what made you start getting into whiskey? And as we know, I had a thing with Boone's Farm Mad Dog 2020 in my early days. Before I always had Elsa Brooks, but I just straight hood killed it. So what's something that now you would not touch, right? Like for me, I would not touch Boone's Farm. I mean,
right. So how I got into it, I actually grew up right outside of DC in Potomac with my grandparents, my grandfather and my step-grandmother, who is of Irish descent. So you got this nice little interracial couple living outside of DC. And my grandfather was a jazz musician. And so I grew up
in DC.
Yeah.
Have you been to, oh my God, I love Jazz Alley in DC.
Oh my God, so great. So that was his retirement stage, as he was a phenomenal pianist and singer. And so growing up, he always did gigs, and so I would always watch him getting ready. And wherever house that we ever lived in at the time, he always had a phenomenal bar, and I mean a phenomenal bar. And so one of the things that my grandfather taught me very young was you need to appreciate really great whiskey. You need to appreciate really great cigars. And so that was also where my love of cigars came in. And he was also a pipe smoker. And so his thing was always, it's fine if you want to enjoy all of these things. I'd rather you enjoy it here at the house. So one, I can see you. And two, I can teach you to appreciate really good shit. So I did not get the introduction until like Jack or Jim, more of like a Glenlivet and a Glenfiddich and so things of that nature. He taught me how to make a martini by the time I was 10. A good Manhattan by the time I was about 13. I learned about different cigars and how to roll them and the smells and all that around that same time too. So that was where the love came from. And then, of course, by the time I got to like my teens, where I could go to watch some of his gigs, here you got your granddaughter on a back bar stool with the bartenders kind of showing me different drinks. And so that was where it was really fueled. Couple that with really, really great jazz music. So, I grew up in the 90s. So we're talking about the pinnacle of 90s hip hop. So I'm going to have a combination of mix CDs with, freaking Onyx and DMX and early Jay-Z. And I'm going to also have Ella Fitzgerald and Thelonious Monk and Miles Davis.
Don't forget
Sarah Vaughan. So I had like this dual life that I lived, which I really loved. And I was very, very grateful. And he was a gunny. So I was very grateful to have that background as growing up as a kid. But the drink that I will not touch, interestingly enough, my fiance and I recorded an episode of my podcast where we brought out the beverages that we would never drink again. And we basically talked about the follies of our youth and just were like, what were some stupid things you did in your 20s that you regret? So the drink that I have not had until I did that episode last year was a drink that I had one time in college. I had 8 shots of it and I never had it again until like 15 plus years later. And it was Goldschlager. Oh, God.
You took 8 shots? Oh, did you puke?
So here's the funny thing about it, though. I thought I took 4 shots. Because they were double glasses. So for the longest time, for years, I was like, I got so drunk off of 4 shots of Goldschlager. And I remember telling the story to a friend of mine, and she was like, Desiree, do you realize we had like these really tall shot glasses? And I was like, yeah, it was so hard. She's like, girl, those were double shots. You took 8 shots of Goldschlager in the course of one evening. Of course, you've never been able to drink it. So Goldschlager was mine. And for my husband, oh goodness, for my fiance, it was Rumpelmann.
Almost there, whatever.
So his was Rumpelmann. So we both did an episode drinking the 2 drinks that we said we would never drink again. And after we both enjoyed that, we were like, that's fine. We'll go back and enjoy that 20 years later.
Right. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it together. For me, like, I don't believe Fireball is whiskey.
Oh God, it's not. There's a whole huge thing about it. That's the reason why it's being pulled out of gas stations.
Early set bottles of Fireball on fire. Because I don't find it to be something that people should drink at all.
Oh gosh, no.
But to each his own. We're in a free country. But Fireball's not whiskey.
That is very true. We are not going to judge.
It says it on the bottle.
Oh no, whiskey. Jonathan! No, let's not do this because Audrey is going to make you. She's going to hurt your feelings in about 5 seconds. Don't do it.
Oh, I don't drink the trash. I just say it. It says whiskey on the bottle.
Don't do it.
Listen, Army. Just stop.
Don't do it.
Send in some Patriot missiles today or some Tomahawk missiles. Right? I'm just trying to be inward today.
Don't do it.
That's not liquor. And if anybody wants to come fight me on it, please do. I will outdrink you under the table anytime with real liquor. I will teach y'all how to drink. There's life above it. If you want cinnamon, make yourself some fucking French toast.
This episode sponsored by Fireball.
Never. Although, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it distributed by Sazerac?
I love you, babe.
I think it is.
And I like Sazerac, right? But, if they want to do some kind of like French toast theme, I'll be down with it, right? Maybe. As for drinking stuff, no. Maybe a good baking whiskey. No, not these lips.
I make one shot when I bartend a few years ago. I make one shot. That's like my go-to. Oh, it's your birthday? Here you go. Oh, it's bachelorette party? Here you go. And it's with Fireball. I call it dirty chocolate milk. And every time I make it, people go crazy. And I'm like, it's literally just half and half chocolate syrup and Fireball. Like, that's all it is. But people are like, oh my God, it's so good. I'm like, yeah, it's like, a cinnamony chocolate milk. But it's my go-to, like, bachelorette party. Let's do shots. I'm like, I got you, girls. It's your birthday. Come on over. So that's like my go-to.
It's birthday.
Shot.
Blanton's with me. They're not. I don't let them
shot. Yeah.
Let them do that. Mm-hmm. I don't. That's not empowerment of women.
I'm so sorry. Well, my other love is tequila because I have a very strong passion about tequila.
There's songs about tequila. I can get with that. Right?
You're not talking about like the fake stuff, huh? You're talking about like good tequila.
Good tequila, yes,
okay.
Yes. So before the job I have currently now, I was a F&B director at the hotel during Hurricane Michael, and so I not only was I in charge of all of F&B with the different bar outlets, but also entertainment that we had for our guests. Because our property was a long-term rental as well as condos. We had a lot of people that would stay and vacation for several days, if not weeks. So some of the events that I was really excited about hosting was a whiskey and cigar pairing event and a tequila tasting event. And I hosted both of those events. And so when it came to the tequila tastings, we talked about how you properly smell tequila. That tequila and whiskey are very similar. That one of the biggest reasons why people, especially Americans, are like, oh God, I have a really bad experience with tequila. I always like to tell people is because you've had shit tequila. For one, tequila should not be shot. If you ever go to Mexico and you get to enjoy tequila, proper tequila, you're not going to shoot tequila. Tequila is a sipping drink, very similar to whiskey. People who are like, I'll have a shot of Jack. I just want to punch across the face because that's not what its purpose is. That's not how it should be enjoyed. And so tequila really shouldn't be shot. You should be able to sip it like a very good whiskey. Like a whiskey, you can similarly open it up with a little bit of water with an ice cube. People who are like, oh, I love having, Patron on the rocks with a slice of orange. That's really cute, but that's not how you're supposed to enjoy it. There are different notes to it. So being able to do these tastings and to show it to people, it was always amazing for people, again, Americans, because it was gringos who went to Mexico during wartime. We were like, I can't digest this tequila. I guess I need salt and lime. It's great to be able to educate people. And I now have friends who are like, Desiree, I go and I'll ask for a tequila on the rocks and I might put a little lime juice in there, but like, it's so great to actually sip tequila. And I'm like, yeah, right. It's amazing how you have very little hangovers that way.
Right.
So,
and you taste how it's supposed to be tasted, right?
That is how it's supposed to be.
And ruined, right? Like,
exactly.
America has the habit of adopting holidays and then just kind of really fucking up the whole meaning of it.
Cinco de Mayo is one of my favorite holidays to school people on.
You just say
like a mind fuck.
My aunt is Mexican, right? So my cousins are Mexican, right? Mm-hmm. So Cinco de Mayo is like not what anybody thinks, right? It's not even a celebration of that. It's like a victory from another battle. And so I at least get to enjoy good tequila. I just stay away from it because I'm already at this level, like up here compared to most people. And when tequila get into it, like I'm already this Amazonian, and when we full send, right?
Well,
like so,
I need you to adapt because we're planning on the wedding being next year, and me. And if you're coming, Audrey, there's going to be a good mix of whiskey and tequila.
And I plan on getting a place to stay and wedding is behind closed doors so long as there's no cameras there. What happens at the wedding stays at the wedding.
Stays at the wedding. I need you to man up there, Audrey, because it's going to be serious.
Oh, I know. I'm going to have an outfit for that, right? Then I'm going to have an outfit to change into after the after party. And then it'll be like, get down and dance.
After the party is the after party, and after the party is the hotel lobby.
Tequila and like Blanton's like little robe, or you know what? I'll get a cape. And then I can just I'll fly in there.
Jonathan just has right now with us. Sitting back like, what have I got?
I'm just wondering where I'm going to be at with the camera when Audrey's drinking tequila. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Probably around the time that there's going to be like
no cameras will be allowed.
We'll cut off the camera usage. Like everyone's cell phones will be taken at like 11 p.m. or something.
No, everybody's got their Ubers planned, or nobody's leaving, and all phones are dead, and then we just let loose, and we ain't got to worry about it, right?
Wow, that's
ain't got to worry about it.
I've always said, I was like, this will be wedding number 2 for me, wedding number 3 for my fiance. So I've always been like, this is going to be the party that both of us have never had. So it's going to be a fun one. Savannah, Georgia, mark your calendar. So
I will. Let me know when, and then I guess I'll have to start hunting for a good wedding.
I haven't been to Savannah in a while.
Oh, it's so great. I love Savannah.
I've been to Savannah. It's been I definitely left my mark on Savannah when I partied there.
Come on. It's one of the reasons why I picked it.
My little brother was at AIT, right? And so he was at Benning. And, and then we went into Phoenix City to Bama.
Oh, God. Oh, Lord.
And we went into Savannah. And it was just, I had a wonderful time. I was 19. I still drank. And I went with a bunch of Army guys who just got that blue cord. And we just, we fucked it up. I just want to say, like, we just straight, like, went in there and just,
Savannah is I love Savannah. So it's one of the reasons why I picked it. It's such a great area. So
Vegas, I'm out here going to Bama, Fort Lauderdale. I'm going to Phoenix City. I'm fucking going to Savannah. Like, y'all missing out. I'm just saying. Sometimes the South got it right. Sometimes you just got to dip on down. Y'all spend that money in Las Vegas if you want, but I know where to party at. So
or Atlanta.
The ATL, the Army definitely was like, Rangers lead the way. Hooah, right? I was like, okay.
You didn't try that one at Benny?
I was down with Betty. Like Betty was there, and the boys from my brother's AIT, and yeah. So that's a don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah. Okay. I had a good time.
All I'm saying is I left my mark there. Make sure I got a T-shirt and everything. I danced well that night. Drank well.
I have never danced well in my entire life.
Well, we can help you with that. We got you.
But I lean against the wall and drink real good though. So
hey, there you go. All you need is that like good wave. Like you just need that like glasses in one hand. You just like
the Mardi Gras wave.
Look, man, all you gotta do is like you just gotta get into that beat a little bit, right? And then we'll give you the tequila, and all of a sudden that rhythm will come.
And there you go. You're welcome. You find your closest cute little black girl. She'll help you out. Don't worry about it.
That tempo that you didn't have, like Lizzo. I'm a big girl. I need tempo.
Can I do something real quick?
Of course.
I'm just trying to get a word in. That's all.
Many blue cords out. All right.
I don't have a blue cord.
The wing woman. I made sure they got their cord, and I made sure I found them a friend, so they could celebrate that cord.
What did I get myself into?
We haven't even talked about fingering yet. Dear God.
I made sure. I was like, okay, guys. I'm like, yo, bro, take the birth control glasses off. Be in the club. Like,
no.
I gotta see. I will see the girl for you. You don't need them. Like, I'll make sure she looks good. No beer goggles. Let's go. Like, I got you, right? Let's go celebrate. You got this cord, man. You infantry now. Like, let's do this. So
those glasses were so terrible.
They were killing my boy's vibe. So I had to I know you're blind and you can't see, but I'll scope it. I'll get it, right? And post up here like you against the wall with a drink, and I'll bring it over, right? So so I did. So there's when the Army when we play the Army Navy games, the Army acting like they don't owe me anything. They do. He's off the field, like say less. Oh my God. Anyway, so what's your favorite?
On behalf of the Army, thank you, Audrey.
We call the Coast Guard, not currently the Space Force. I haven't helped them, but I've helped all branches. All branches. I've got some marriages out of it too. So I don't want to put my Jewish matchmaking out there, but I have helped.
You can find it at.
You can find me at Church Love Matchmaking.
I have had to attempt a procreation. Whether there's some babies from it or not, whatever.
So, I think we might have already touched on the fact that you guys have known each other for a little while.
Just a little bit.
So, so let's go back to exactly where and how y'all met each other.
Good old Instagram. So one of the reasons why I actually kind of pivoted originally to what I do online was because of Audrey. And mainly because I am a woman who enjoys whiskey and cigars. And I remember seeing her profile through someone else. And I thought, that is so freaking badass to see a woman who is unapologetic and loves whiskey. And not only loves whiskey, but is knowledgeable. And I remember thinking, I, one, want to be her friend. And two, would love to get to that level. And so I remember when I first started my Instagram account and kind of started posting a lot of my content, I was going to Audrey and was like, I really like this. I love your vibe. I love what you do. And so I 100% fangirled out. She's also friggin' gorgeous. So that also helped me to fangirl even harder. But then it was just this love of what we had in common. And then we just really got to know each other through that, like on outside of Instagram and our passions, we got to know each other personally and our own personal stories. And when Audrey had that time away from social media, because by this time we've shared phone numbers and chit-chatted and whatnot, by that time she took some time off of social media. I remember still reaching out to her. And I know it was really hard. You know, you pick and choose who you put in your circle around those really difficult times. But to see her kind of come back to where she is now, I could not have been happier. And I was like, I don't care if you're going to go back to like the Blanton's Bay, that girl. I'm just glad that you're coming back to who you are in your own. So to kind of see the evolution of our friendship, you know, our social media friendship to where she is now, I can't continue to fangirl hard enough. So.
Thank you. You were really there for me, right? Like, it's amazing how you guys can meet someone on social media, and you know that's how I met one of those abusers. You know, I'm gonna try to decline on don't get me, right? Like I'm over that. But you can get real friends that become like family to you, and so you were really there for me when I was just like devastated and like really understanding like how, you know, I was thrown up against the wall and had bruises on my body, and that I wasn't allowed to speak on social media or have a love for whiskey or cigars, which is quintessentially my family heritage, and it is of me because of a relationship.
Yeah.
You know, knowing that those things are all things of abuse and that you should never have to give up the things that you love. And secondly, when someone loves you, you never have to prove that you love them. So like not being active on social media was like a demand, right? Like you can't do that. And so I super appreciate you being there for me from the bottom of my heart, and much love, man. Like seriously, much love. You were there for me in some true darkness, and now, you know, it's been 2 years since I left that abuse, and it's great. Like it took me almost a year to actually take pictures with whiskey again and hike, and that's something I love, right? Or just rocking my T-Rex costume and drinking whiskey. So I'm glad that I fully healed. I'm super glad that I left the abuse. I don't regret it, right, at all whatsoever. I'm glad that I can advocate and talk to people about what narcissistic abuse is. And most of all, I'm happy to have my family and friends again.
Yeah.
And
we're happy you're back, bitch.
Me too. I'm just glad to be back because this
you're happy.
Yeah,
I know. Fucking cheers to that, kid.
You know,
that one.
Yes, right. Like this bay is always gonna be there for me. So yeah. All right.
sorry, Jonathan's mom listening. We apologize for the profanity. We're so sorry.
I'm sorry. The sailor's not sorry. First Amendment. I am not sorry. I have sworn and literally been raped for your right to curse. Curse on people. So, Boozie Bestie. What would you say was your favorite song when you started Boozie Bestie? And kind of like, you know, I love all music. So I'm from Yonkers, New York. So I love jazz too. I've been to Jazz Alley. I used to play the trumpet. And so, yeah. And so Etta James and, you know, Ella Fitzgerald, they're from me. They're from New York, from where I'm from. And so what would you say that you're listening to now? And who's your favorite female jazz artist?
Oh God.
Pick one because I can't pick one either, so it's unfair. A couple.
I could definitely pick a couple. So what I'm listening to now, and I've said it once before, and thank God, as much as he is like very caucasoid, my fiance, thank God he actually has good musical taste. Because one of the things that we bonded over on our first date was we went to a bar that was playing this 90s hip hop station on Spotify. And I was amazed at how many lyrics he knew. And I was just like, sir, excuse me?
You're like, say what?
Trying to get naked tonight? I'm sorry, what? And then he had like a Macallan on the Rocks for our first date. And I was like, sir. So like he knew what he was doing, like bagging it.
Obviously.
So I am always listening to 90s hip hop at any given time. It will never die. I will never get rid of it. I was literally blasting some Wu-Tang on the way home.
So I listened to some Wu-Tang earlier today, and I got some Nas next. I had that going today.
So I was listening to Wu-Tang. As far as like new stuff, yeah,
I'm right there with you.
The new-ish that I will give you, I appreciate that Apple is like, oh, you listen to this song, so we'll give you similar artists. So while I was listening to Wu-Tang, it threw in a little bit of Kendrick Lamar, and I'm like, yes, I will give you Pulitzer Prize winner Kendrick Lamar. Like, I will give you that.
Right.
And then as far as jazz singers, I will always go back and forth between Billie Holiday and Ella Fitzgerald.
Yes.
But then the deep passion of me, my stage professional like work name is Desiree Simone because my last name is fucking bullshit. And so Simone comes from Nina Simone, and so that's where the passion comes from it. My last name is Duggar, spelled differently, however, and so one of the reasons why I changed it a few years ago was because of that obnoxious family that is now back in the news again. So I was a Duggar before the corruption happened, but I've been Desiree Simone for so many years now that I think people forget that my last name is actually something else.
Yeah. Well, thank God, because it's going to change anyway. So
it's going to change. I'm going to have a French first name and an Irish last name. So I'm going to become Desiree McGuire. So.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Yes. People are like, how are you Jewish and have and have an Irish last name, and then your mom is black? And I'm like, welcome to America, bitches.
Welcome to being so yeah, I will have a French first name, Irish last name. So I'm excited.
That's awesome. So, I love cigars, and you love cigars too, and you actually do some pairings and tastings with cigars, and it's so shocking to men that women smoke cigars. I don't really know why. It's shocking that we drink whiskey, right? And then we drink a cigar on top of it, and they're like, so can we marry you? You're a unicorn. And I was like, wait, I do all this other stuff too. I'm one of a kind.
I'm not a unicorn. There are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of women just like me.
We're all unicorns though. Mm-hmm. So what got you into, obviously your dad kind of got you into and knowing that, and thank God, I think your dad's in Arlington, right?
Yeah, my grandfather. Yes. Yeah. So matter of fact, I will be there in August because my grandmother passed, and so she'll be interred right next to him. So when you were at Arlington, I was like, I will be there in a few months to go through that again, which is
I will come to you
which is always hard.
It's a very hard place. It feels like an amusement park and not really like a place of honor anymore. Yeah. But I will, depending on what day of August, I live in DC, so I will come and we should go to the Fountain Inn and the Jack Rose together.
We can. It's August 1st, so I'm gonna fly in the day before. And because I'm a psycho when it comes to my job, I'm going to fly literally straight out of Dulles right after the ceremony because I don't want to I don't do emotions well in those situations. And so, and it's crazy. And I'm sure you're familiar with this. She passed over a year ago, but because there are so many people, the backlog at Arlington is so absolutely insane. Even for interments for people who have been cremated, that backlog. So they told us a couple of months, and she is being interred, I want to say 14 months after she passed. It's a process. It's a process. But at the end of the day, she's right next to my grandfather, which is all we've ever wanted. So I did not care how long it was going to take. I'm the only grandchild, so I will happily be up there. So. Yeah,
this still unacceptably too long for veterans.
14 months. 14 months.
Yeah, and Judaism, we wait a whole year to put a headstone up. So we have a whole year of grieving. But I'm sorry on the behalf of my country that you have had to wait for that long. So yeah, I'll go with you if you want. Definitely, let's do something, right? Because it's not an easy place to go to. I mean, I went by myself, and it was It was incredibly hard. I felt like I couldn't even cry in peace, right? Like I couldn't even grieve in peace because people are like, this is so cool. And I'm just like, no, it's not cool that people are lost here. Like, this is a place of remembrance and honor. And you don't want to be here if you don't have to be. We would rather be alive than that. So that's crazy. So what do you feel like you're doing for your own empowerment and how you're helping others? Obviously, this is kind of your business of what you do is kind of empowerment. So
I think one of the biggest things that I'm doing is I'm making myself accessible to others. And one of the things that I always like to tell people is allowing yourself to be accessible to others can be in a lot of different ways. So I'll use you, for example. I know that you've reached out to me, whether you DM me, you called, you texted, and you've been like, hey, I just needed somebody to talk to. If you just need to rant and vent, then I'm 100% going to be that person. And then the second someone says, I have an idea of a project that I don't know where to go when it comes to social media marketing, I love being able to be that person. So being able to show up for other people can come in a lot of ways. If your natural gift is something related to law, being able to give law advice to someone. And so I think something that's really important is to be accessible to those friends and also to really listen when you see different actions, when you see someone kind of cowering back a bit, and to be responsive to say, well, I just want to check in because you're like, I'm seeing post, or I'm not seeing post, or I haven't really seen you around, or I don't hear from you. So for me, empowerment is being able to be fully accessible to my family and friends as much as I possibly can. On the flip side of that, being empowering for me also means saying no when I need to.
Yep.
Because as much as I'm going to be there for people, I also have to sit here and say, okay, I got to listen to my body. I got to listen to my head. I suffer from lupus, which is a really fun autoimmune disease. And I know, like, I'm sitting here doing this podcast in my bed with a heat pad on my knees because we're feeling a little achy. So I know that empowerment for me is, as much as I can be accessible to my family and friends, I also have to say, I have to honor my body. I have to honor what's happening right here. And I can only give you but so much. But girl, when I'm 80, 90, 100%, I got you. So, and that's something that I really push with a lot of the clients that I work with is you can give and give and give, but you've got to be able to be empowering for yourself first.
I would agree, right? Like, setting good boundaries is so important, but not only that is the more you take care of yourself, the more you're able to give of yourself, right? Yes. And so you can't do that if you don't take care of yourself, right?
No.
I have CRPS. It's the highest known pain syndrome known to man. There's no cure, right? So there are days where I've done too much and I can't walk. And so I've never had this kind of like limit placed on me, except for when I got injured in the military. And then it was like my whole world shifted. Everything stopped, right? They're like, 18 months, you're never going to walk again. Like, you will not walk. You will have atrophy on this and you will never walk again, let alone snowboard, let alone try to surf, like nothing. You're done. You're done. And for a while I took that as, okay, like that's it, man. That's all I got, right? Like, okay. And then I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna beat the shit out of this.
No.
What they say to me, like, fuck it, man. If it makes my life end earlier, then I've lived a full life, right? I've lived to it. So I would agree, right? Like, we all have serious diseases that people wouldn't have a clue, or they look at you and they're like, she's fine. No, I'm not.
She's fine. I get that so often. And it's funny, lupus is very similar in that world of like fibromyalgia and scleroderma. And one of the things that people are very quick to say is, oh my gosh, but you look fine. And it's like, yeah, the outside might look quote unquote fine. But I think it also goes to hearken on things like mental disabilities and mental disorders to give that idea of you look fine. You have no idea what the brain is going through. You have no idea what the body is going through. I've had lupus for years, and I have people who are like, I never knew. And I'm like, yeah, you're not knowing because social media is a bitch. Like, I'm going to show you all that great stuff. I don't necessarily talk about it all that time because I don't want people to ever pity me. But also, more importantly, I do want to show you and be honest that you might not see some consistent posts and why. And I think I even told you, you're like, girl, hey, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm good. Just spent 4 days in the hospital. Everything's fine. You know, like you have to check out. You have to check out. And so, you know, one of the things that I always, you know, because I've kind of pivoted a bit to what I'm doing and really want to focus on those invisible diseases is please people stop saying, but oh my God, you look fine. Your definition of fine and what someone's going through is completely bullshit because you do not know what is happening in the mind and you do not know what's happening in the body.
Right, exactly. So, you know, like they'll be like, oh, yeah, I have PTSD. You can't see it, right? Or the fact is, it's like with CRPS, it literally feels like my body's being electrocuted, or every step that I take, it literally feels like I'm being burned alive, right? And so I take extra care to walk straight because I don't, you know, I used to have to limp, and there are days when I do too much and I'm limping or I'm on my knee scooter, right? Like plain and simple. But then I was like, well, why am I fucking hiding this from people? You know, like, because that was the military in me, right? Like, show no weakness, you know, walk as straight as possible because, you know, I don't want to be deemed as weak, right? Like, that is a military mindset. And then I was like, yeah, well, I kind of got fucked up in the military. And then a doctor told me I was fine. And now I have this disease that there's no cure for. Now, thankfully, you know, I've done a lot with medical marijuana and ketamine, and I can walk because I took Simpson oil, right? And I did it for a while, and I've gotten ketamine infusions. And I believe that is a way for me to maintain what I have now. And I'm not going to stop my level of physical activity. You know, like I, you know, swam, ran triathlons before I joined the military. So my level of fitness, when people are like, well, why do you want to do a 50-mile rucksack? Because that is the kind of person I am, right? Like these are the levels of fitness that I had before I got injured in the military. So I'm going to fight everything in me to make sure I get it, because these people literally told me I'd never walk again. And when you look at me, they're like, you're fine. No, bitch, I'm not fine.
I'm not fine.
I'm not telling you about my pain because you're not in the circle. Right.
And side note, Rick Simpson oil
it saved my life, right? Like I literally, they said, you
chef's kiss,
right? You'll never be able to put pressure on that foot ever again. Like you're done. This is it. And I had literally the bone showing. I had no skin left for my muscle and my back calf. It was completely gone, right? So when I started taking Rick Simpson oil, what it did was put a barrier up so I could take my first step again, right? And so I do that every so often. I do a treatment plan where I just do a month of, I just take a certain milligram and I keep that going. But I mean, that's not readily available for everyone. It is something that could be available for anyone with chronic pain, with anyone with an autoimmune disease, and with anyone with PTSD. Like, it shouldn't just be California or Oregon or Washington saying low dose mushrooms help and here's how you should do it. This should be available to anyone that needs to help.
I know when my rheumatologist first prescribed it for me, and I want to say maybe the first week of taking Rick Simpson oil, I was just like, you've got to be kidding me, because before that I was taking, oh God, what was it? It was a high dose. I was a high dose narcotic for pain. And I was like, I can't do this. I 100% cannot continue to do this. For one, it was ruining like me on the gastro side. It was giving me horrible digestive issues. So then we kind of migrated towards that. And it was around the time that Florida just passed medical marijuana. And to now be in the position where I'm at, where I'm like, thank God for it. My heart goes out to people like me who do not have that readily accessible. And work has to be changed, because what an amazing life changer it can be for people with lupus and any form of autoimmune disease. Like, it's a complete game changer.
Right. It literally, like, my pain is not gone, right? But at least gives me a barrier to where I can mentally actually function, right? The pain is still there, but it's not the same. It's not what I'm focusing on, right?
Yeah.
When you're in that level of pain, I've tried every single medication that's been prescribed. There's no cure, right? I've tried every kind of pain medication there is. I've been on all of them. I've tried experimental drugs. I've done trials, and there's very few trials that are actually in the US. And I have CRPS in 3 of my limbs, where usually people only have it in 1. So I'm an extra rare case. And so what RSO did is give me back my life, right? It gave me back my life. And then ketamine is like, for me, it is literally the thing that helps me. It has given me so much clarity back. It gives me the ability to process without thinking in pain. So the combination of the two, it's life-changing. And I can't say enough good things about it, nor can I understand how people who just care about profits instead of the good people continue to shove pills down other people's throats, because I've tried all the pills, right? And some of your pills gave me nightmares. And like when the side effects is to a person that has severe PTSD, I have complex PTSD, and you're giving me nightmares, and then it's not working, and I'm on morphine, right? I'm on morphine, and like literally my body is like, hey, it's now 1900. You're ready for your next dose of morphine. I don't ever want to feel like that, right? RSOs don't make me feel like that. You know, RSOs, when I take it at a 50 or 90 milligrams, it's like, okay, I'm having pain relief now. I'm actually having something where my first thought is not about, can I walk? When I have to stand up, you know, I have to brace myself and say, okay, you're about to put pressure on your feet. You're about to feel pain. It's about to be jabbing. It's about to shock the shit out of you. Brace, right? You know, it's like literally, I'm back in the military. Brace, 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 brace. And I get up. But that's how I walk every day, because I refuse to let an injury stop me, right? I refuse to let a disability stop me. And so, you know, people don't understand what we go through with an autoimmune. They don't understand how much pain we're in. They don't understand how tired we get, how fatigued we get. I mean, I'm on caffeine like all the time, because if I let my body rest the way it wanted to, I'd be in bed all the time. And that, you know, there are people that have CRPS that it's so bad it's now up to their neck and face, and they literally can't move out of bed. And so I feel like if they had a chance for RSO, maybe their life could change, right? And they could get out of that bed. But until they get out of that bed, it is my duty and responsibility to keep pushing forward and to keep going hard as I can to advocate for things that are actually effective in treatment.
Yes, ma'am. That was beautiful. It was just beautiful to listen to. Yes, ma'am. Now go vote for her and get her in Congress.
George Washington. Lady Liberty, the Constitution, the living document. Cheers.
Yes. That is why, like I said, I was like, I've got a chicken in the oven, because it's like, okay, when you're done with this, you need to eat, because you need to have yourself a good meal. So that's why we have the heat pad and we're reclining, so we can take it easy.
I can't even use ice, right? So everybody's like, oh, I'll get you some ice. Well, actually, ice can cause nerve damage for me, right? So I can't use that. And so, I mean, I go into waterfalls when I meditate, and it's ice cold to start preparing my brain, because, you know, Navy SEALs have this thing about a trident mindset. And so I tortured myself in order to walk again. I literally would spray water on my body at all temperatures, because I don't know what temperature is for water sometimes. And I actually tortured myself until I cried for like 3 or 4 hours, because I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm walking again, right? And I would just keep doing it, and I would build that pain tolerance up and up and up, so I could be like, okay, today, you know, I went from a person that could run, swim, and bike, where I can't bike, right? It's too painful, the flickering action. But eventually I'll get that back too, because I'm determined to get all back that was taken from me, and then some.
Ma'am, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's like, I just fucked your chicken. I took it out. He's so good. I've trained him so well.
He is an Irishman, so
I trained him so well.
Hospitality.
There's potato in there, so he's fine. So.
I'm glad to hear this meeting. Oh God.
He's like, I just took it out. I'm like, good job, babe. Thank you. So proud of him.
Funny. I'll get one of those one day.
Yeah, you will.
I will. I'm shopping. I'm shopping on the market. I'm on the market, but it takes an NDA to date me.
There you go.
It does. Let's see. How do you feel as a woman in the whiskey industry? And we kind of know some of what you do. I mean, I know what you do, but maybe explain to them what you do in the industry. And I really feel like Row & Co., right? Like master distillers, she's a female master distillers. As more and more women come out, like Lisa Roper, come out and really start distilling and are kind of leading the way for women empowerment. This is a craft that wasn't just run by men. And so we're kind of making our mark and kind of saying we've been here all along. What's up?
Yeah.
And our juice is just as good as yours, if not better. And like, let's take the sex out of it. And like, let's start working on just talent and inclusivity instead of trying to keep this as a barrier. So just interested to kind of how you feel as a woman in this industry, because, you are a person that is a pioneer and that is breaking down industry standards. Honestly.
Oh my God, I love the word pioneer. I'm going to put that on my resume. So
I think you should.
So my background has always been in bar. My previous job as a F&B director and bar manager has kind of like fueled that. I'm now going more towards the indoor part of hospitality and the sales area related to hotel resorts now. But I look at people like Fawn Weaver from Uncle Nearest, and it just makes me so excited to see the direction of how mainstream is really looking at women in whiskey. And they're like, holy shit, like they've got such great insight. First of all, the female palate is totally different. So what we're able to really make and blend is just absolutely amazing. So it gets me really excited. I see women in whiskey events and I just cannot get more excited. I also think about people like my grandfather who really got me into this, that I think if he were alive now to see this would just be completely in awe. Because I think it was people like him who were like, I don't ever want you to feel like because you're a woman, you can't enjoy this. So for him to, if he were alive now, to see what women in whiskey are doing, I think he would be completely thrilled. So to see the evolution, to definitely see the Black-owned liquor brands do as well as they are, it truly gets me excited. And I'm very, very thrilled to see our progress.
Yes, and I'm definitely like Uncle Nearest that I would love to have her come on the show soon. And I would definitely say that they are
out. I would absolutely love to meet on one day.
Me too.
I will meet her one day. I will be on a panel with her one day.
And they are a big supporter of the military. So yeah, I will navigate my way to her eventually.
Yes.
And
let's go to Tennessee. Let's go visit her. Let's just like make a road trip and go to Tennessee and go visit her.
We are going to Nashville soon, so we might as well just let's just add it in. Road trip.
Yeah. I'm about that life. If I'm going to Nashville, I might as well stop and get some liquor straight from the source.
My family were the first settlers of the Eastern Tennessee, and they were distillers there. So I do feel like I have some family roots to explore. We should just go as an educational trip.
There you
go. And drinking would be educational.
It would be.
Yeah, and good music. And there's plenty of veteran musicians that we could hook up at. We could do a podcast there while we're in Tennessee.
There you go.
I think this is stuff in the works. Stuff in the works for sure. How has and I kind of like, I think you've already touched on it, how a good support system has been vital to your success and it's kind of helped you thrive. So now, since you've had that good support system, you're able to advocate and share that with others. What would you say, besides this Irishman that's soon to be husband, who would you say that, in the liquor industry has been somebody that's a good support system for you?
Well, I hope you're looking in the mirror because you're one of them, obviously. You're one. I'm gonna say you, obviously, because like I said, that was our whole connection. So absolutely. And then, we made this joke at the beginning before we started recording about how I'm very close and I say almost every inappropriate thing that comes out of my head to my parents.
Right.
But I am extremely lucky that I have some really great, amazing parents who have always been blindly supportive of all of my dastardly deeds over the years. And then also they were one of the first people that I came to when I had a little bit of a mental break and had to take a 72-hour vacation. And it was great to be able to be vulnerable with them and also have them say, whatever resource that you need during this time, we're here for you. So I'm extremely, extremely grateful. I know how very lucky I am to have parents like that. And I know that's something that a lot of people don't have. So those are some of the big supporters for me, and I'm really grateful for that.
That's awesome. I'm happy that they're in your life, right? Like
they're right around the corner, as a matter of fact, because they're in town visiting. Of course, that's the benefit of having a daughter lives in Panama City Beach, is they're just like, we're gonna come for a few days. Bitch, they're here for 10. they're here for 10. That's the reason why there's chicken in the oven, because they're just like, when are you done? And I'm like, I'm doing a podcast.
I wish my mama would come for 10 days.
10 days. It's a good thing I love them, and I'm an only child, and I adore when they come visit. But good Lord, 10 days.
I would take 10 days with my mama any day.
Hey, but they're also really great cooks. So of course I was like, day one, Dad, I will need steaks. Day two, Mama, I will need your lasagna. So I gave them a full menu. So it's my turn to make dinner tonight. So I was like, I'm gonna put this in the oven, and when I'm done, we'll eat. So
see, my mama's mean, right? She was all snap with me, and she makes this spaghetti casserole, like it's to die for, right? And she makes banging chicken too. I mean, she's a great cook. But I was like, Mama, since I have autoimmune disease, like I can't have tomatoes no more, right? And so
honey, I'm sorry for you.
That must be a problem. As she's eating my favorite spaghetti casserole, like just right on the video and everything, and I'm just like, didn't I buy you a good Mother's Day gift?
So wrong.
What did I do?
No, they're spoiled. They're over there spoiled.
Buffalo Trace cheese board and find you Buffalo Trace whatever you need. But I'm a bad daughter or something?
When did I fail you as a daughter?
When did I fail you?
No. But yes, nothing is good than getting your mama's your cooking for sure.
I'm so lucky. So I have them here for a couple more days. So I was like, I will make dinner tonight, and then tomorrow I forgot what she's making, but I was like, I'll do tonight and you guys do tomorrow. So I'm very spoiled right now with their cooking.
So I would say your favorite pour is definitely Jameson for Irish whiskey.
Yes.
Tequila is your mainstay.
Tequila is my mainstay. My favorite would be Don Julio Blanco. Definitely Don Julio Blanco, girl. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's some good tequila. I think I could be like Supernova Amazonian Warrior on that. I'm pretty cool.
Oh gosh, so good. Just do it on the rocks and do a fresh lime. Squeeze a fresh lime juice. Drink it on the rocks. So good. So
neat.
good.
I just like it.
So good.
Like whiskey for me, right? Like I just don't. I guess I feel like my body is made up enough water that I hydrate, that I could just drink.
I don't need any more.
I can drink it because it's meant to be, right? I don't need all that. I just like it. I like it clean. I like it clean. So yeah. So where can our listeners find out more about you and your cause?
Yeah. So you can visit my website, Desiree-Simone.com. And then all of my socials, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and Twitter is at I am D Simone. So you can find me there. I do offer one-on-one coaching as well as personal branding as well. So you can go to the website, you can go to TikTok. You're going to see a lot of fun, interesting things. I feel like Vanna White. Yeah, you can find me. You can find me on there. So you'll find a lot of entertainment. You're going to find a cross between a personal development, whiskey, cigars, tequila, a couple of inappropriate maybe jokes here and there.
Some sex toys.
You're gonna talk about. There are gonna be some sex toys because originally my blog started. My blog was more sex and dating relationships, which then turned into relationship, which then turned more into personal development. So yes, I actually did a really great podcast with Sex Party where we talked about a lot of things. All of the things. So she's a multifaceted girl. So if you're just like I said, I want people to get in touch with their inner badass. That's me.
Right, and I fully believe in the use of those, and that they should be taboo, and that it is one of the most natural things that you're designed to do.
The nightstand right here has a lot. Jonathan, cover your eyes. There are a lot of things in this nightstand over here that.
But I think it would help a lot of marriages.
I'm just saying.
And people got a little bit happier. And so I actually use, I call it sexual reclamation in my nonprofit, because, men and women that have been raped in the military, that's been one of the most tragic, disheartening things that can happen, right? And so I definitely, after healing people through different levels and various, I'm working with a couple, is to empower them sexually, because a lot of the things that they want or need are things that they no longer can do because of that rape, right? And so helping rebuild that partnership and introducing that sex is a loving, natural thing. And these are ways that you can break those barriers or work through that trauma is a way of empowerment. So I fully believe that, reclaiming yourself sexually is just as important as healing yourself mentally, and that it's something that really needs to be talked about, rather than it just being made into this taboo conversation. Because, when you're fully healed, you want to be able to enjoy sex, and you want to be able to work through those triggers, especially, if you've had skin brush up on your skin, or a certain position sexually, you really have to help break through that. I had to do and heal all that for myself. And so I am so happy to have that opportunity to help heal a marriage, because a lot of them don't even know. They just say, yeah, I was raped in the military, but that's it, right? And they don't get into the nitty gritty of this is why I won't have sex with you at this day. Or you have this cologne that reminds me of this. Or you have this shirt that does that. Or, we were doing this sexually, and this triggered a flashback. And so if I can get them to be honest and talk about that flashback, we can start undoing that damage and then
healing it back.
Yeah, and healing it back and allowing that sexual position now to be a source of empowerment for both, right? And you're keeping this marriage together that they wanted to have and thrive, or a relationship. So, it's not something I put on my website.
It's a service that we do provide because we want you all to be happy and come.
Right, because that is part of the healing process. And
absolutely,
sexual reclamation is very, very important. So, and so I want sex to be normal, right? If I could come on here and say, hey, I was raped this many times in the military and it was like this, I should certainly be able to say, I am myself. And sex is an amazing thing, and it should not be something that's frowned upon. If I had family members that came on the Mayflower, I guess we were the rad ones, and so we reject that Puritan lifestyle. So be safe, safe sex, birth control. But most of it, fun.
huge part to a happy relationship as well.
It's critical, right? It is critical. And people detach from each other because instead of talking about it, right, they kind of just put it off. I work with married couples, and the first thing I ask them is well, how many times a week are you having sex? And they're like, well, if we're lucky, we have it once or twice a week. I'm like, and so that's not healthy. It's not healthy, right? And so let's figure out why, because I believe it's a daily thing. I believe it's a twice a day or more, but that,
God willing.
right? Get what you can get, right? So I help reverse some of that damage that someone else perpetrated on them, so that their marriage and relationship can thrive. And it's very, very important that you start getting real with it and saying, well, why aren't we, right? And don't be like, oh, it's the kids. Yeah. Kids got bedtimes, right? Kids got extra activities at school, like send these motherfuckers to go play soccer or some shit. I'm just saying. You paying for them to go to practice anyway, so shit, practice love. I hate practice love.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Yes.
You can also find that service available at
Give me a list of websites and resources.
It's called the Needs Not Want list. It is an actual list that I use that Alexa Martinez, she has Conscientious Love that she allowed me to use. I asked for permission. So it's an actual list. And I use it myself. Like I screen people out that way because it literally shows you if you're sexually compatible with somebody. Because what I firmly believe is that if you're in a relationship with somebody and all your sexual needs are not met, so I'm just going to say if you like something and it is a requirement for you, it is a need, and that person marks all these other boxes, you are always going to be sexually repressed because that one need that you truly need is not going to be met.
Yeah.
And so no matter how much you try to make this relationship work, you're always going to feel this like repression and like to them, right? So why would you even be compatible with them? You're not, and if they're not willing to put it in the I'll try list, you're still then taking a chance that you're not going to have your needs met. And sex is foundational. It's foundational. It's foundational in any relationship. And when you're getting to a relationship where you're just going to be in a marriage, it's going to be you and that one person for the rest of your life. So don't get somebody who's like, oh, well, he's financially stable. And I always tell these women, you're financially stable. You have a good job too, right? So you're already on this playing field. You already have all this level of independence. So why are you settling? It's a whole package deal. And so if you want your foundation to be strong, you get those cornerstones, right? And sex is one of those foundational cornerstones.
Absolutely.
And people have to be real, right? And don't settle. That's don't settle.
That is the message from this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Do not settle.
Drink good bourbon, drink good tequila.
Have great tequila, have great sex, and do not settle.
Have great sex, and don't drink Fireball.
Don't drink Fireball. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
unless you're making French toast with it, then cheers on to you.
There you go.
But
I'm thinking about that. Look, I got a little whatever. A Fireball that's been in the fridge for like probably 2 years now, and I'm thinking about going and get some
half
chocolate
and half,
milk.
half and half chocolate syrup Fireball. You're gonna do shake it up, nice little shot. It's called dirty chocolate milk. Boom.
I just want to try it. That's all.
Not bad. It's not bad.
Heavy whipping cream, right? Heavy whipping cream. 2 cups of confectionery sugar, Fireball in it, vanilla, and make whipped cream from it. Fresh whipped cream.
There you go.
Yeah.
And that is what, again, this episode is sponsored by Fireball.
Nah.
When they start sending us free shit, we're going to be like, I guess we're doing an episode then.
Go Team Bears. I got my
I will take a sponsorship from Sazerac. We just won't.
There we go. We will totally take that.
I owe them a meeting. They told me I could come by and see them, and I haven't been able to see them for the last couple of months. So once August, it'll be on my list to go down there and go talk to them and see if I can do a tasting event there. So I'm stoked about that opportunity. But I will always keep it real. right? Like, I'll drink the rest of your stuff, but this, y'all, it's a breakfast line. Like,
Does it go good in coffee? I don't know.
There you go.
some French toast. I literally just told you how to make whipped cream with it.
There you go.
Whipped cream. So dudes out there, you know, when you're out there and you do the hookups and you're like, I can make you eggs. Like, no, I just taught you that you can make fresh whipped cream for this girl and really impress her.
There you go. Pay
I
attention.
would be impressed that it was in Fireball, but I'm talking about other women. So do you
Oh my God.
helping people with blue corn since 2004?
There you go. Put it on a t-shirt.
Go Army or something like that.
Beat Army. Like Jonathan's like, so should play the song now quickly.
I'm gonna say this. The last time we were doing this, Audrey had me by myself in a room full of Navy people, and I felt outnumbered. And then tonight, Audrey's got me in here with 2 women, and I'm outnumbered again. And
But we love you.
I'm picking the next guest. That's all I'm saying.
There you go. There you go.
He's-
There you go.
He's gonna be an Army guy.
I think it's only fair, Jonathan. I think it's only fair. I'm sorry. I think it's only fair. I feel so bad. So I agree with you.
I don't feel like she feels bad, Audrey. I don't feel like she feels bad.
I sent you Jameson 18. I sent you the good whiskey. I sent you Blair's Gold. I'll feel
You're
bad.
right. You're right. We'll call it a truce.
There you go.
We're good. We're
There
good.
you go.
Until our next football game.
Whiskey fixes everything.
There you go. It is a healer.
Yes, it is very healing. I
It is
wish people would realize that, right? Like, when you start drinking whiskey to kind of like taste the different profiles in it and you're not just drinking it to get drunk, it is healing, right? It's like, wow, you know, this is a whole new hobby and passion that I can have, and it's great. I want more people to get into whiskey, like realize it's not just a thing to get drunk, it's really a craft to appreciate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so to me it's a pillar, right? It's one of our pillars. So
And I'm gonna crack open another bottle so I can enjoy with dinner here. So
what you drink with dinner?
I think we actually have another bottle of Black Barrel. So I'm gonna be smart enough. If I started on Black Barrel, I'm gonna end with Black Barrel. But there's always Jameson of some form in my home. Always. But I'm pretty sure he has another bottle of Black Barrel, and I know I've got Bullet behind the bar. And then I was like, oh, Bullet too.
It seems like I know what to get for a wedding gift. It's a Jameson.
Jameson.
A barrel of Jameson.
Jameson.
No. It has to be something I'm a hunt for. I got a whole I got a year, right? Like,
Yes.
Yeah. I've just been on the hunt for different whiskeys. I've just been out there conquering, right? You know, no, I have been. Like, I'm just out there. You know, they're like, well, you know, what's on your next thing? I had, you know, the Middleton, very rare, you know, 2017. But then I really had this I had Canape, I don't even know if I could say it right, Castle whiskey, and it was distilled in 1951, right?
Nice.
Yeah, so I was like, you know, some of these, I'm just out here. And then I had Jameson vintage, and that was, I think, one from the 50s as well. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm out there drinking my roots.
There you are.
You know, I'm on the hunt, right? People are like, and I'm like, do you have this? And they're like, no. It's very hard for me to drink because then I go to a bar and I've had everything they have there, and I'm like, well,
that's why you just have your go-to standard, and it's like, all right, we'll go ahead and have this standard, and I'll go between whiskey and tequila.
Right? And I'm like, I have the dream cask at home. Like, are you fucking crazy? Like, really? $800 for this shot? Are you?
Yeah.
And I'm
Florida,
like,
Whistle Pig down here in Florida is absolutely hilarious. So,
well, I got the spirit of the mob. So,
the Boss Hog down here is a $600 bottle.
Yeah, I could find in some mine. snowboard and grab it, right? Like, so it's like, you know, I will literally just make a trip to be like, well, I know that there's whiskey in this area. Can I snowboard, one wheel, or surf? So I have some kind of excuse, and then I'm like, and what can I do to help veterans? So let me make this a US, right? So when I'm going somewhere, if somebody sees me posting on something, I'm usually probably helping a veteran behind the scenes because I don't have to put everything I do on social media, right? And sometimes I can't put it on social media because of what they're going through. But then I make sure I grab some whiskey and I have a little balance in it and go snowboarding or snowboarding or hiking or one wheeling or surfing. And then I'm just hunting for that next dram, right? Like I'm bourbon hunting. I am actively hunting for good whiskey. And that's what happens. I find these amazing pours out of nowhere, that these holes in the wall, you know, where it's like smoke on the wall. And I'm like, holy shit, I think I've gotten asthma from being here. But the whiskey was I got some VFWs where I've walked in there like, oh God. Shirley, like, I can't believe y'all smoking here like this. This is wrong. But I have found these incredible pours from 1951 or pre-prohibition whiskey, right?
Not just so you're talking like pre-prohibition whiskey, not just the mash bill, but actual the whiskey.
Which is amazing.
Nice.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
You know, they're like, I mean, I'm going on dates and stuff too, but I'm also dating myself. Right?
We're on dates too.
I'm dating myself.
Oh gosh.
So, you know, like half the guys that, you know, I'm just like I take it easy on them, right? But they like literally I could buy that pour by myself.
There you go.
You know, so if you can't do that for me and you have all these other good qualities, that's wonderful.
That's
but
great.
you know that I am independent enough where like I've literally told a dude like, I don't want you to buy me breakfast. You know, like we met in person and I'm like, I don't want you to buy me breakfast. And he's just like looks at me and I'm like, I firmly believe that if I go on a date with you, I see potential in you for whatever that may be, right? But I'm not going to waste your money or your time, nor am I going to waste my time. Like, I'm not going to entertain you for a fucking meal that I can pay for myself. I'm certainly not going to entertain you for a drink that, one, I'm probably going to be able to outdrink you and you don't know how to drink whiskey anyway, and that I could buy myself, or I own the bottle at home. So, he said, thank you. He was like, I don't think.
Kindly walked away because you terrified him.
Yeah. He probably said, ma'am, like thank you, ma'am, and then
walked away.
He was like, I'm glad that you didn't make me waste my time or money. And I was like, I'm glad I didn't either, because I'm not that kind of person. Like, I don't need to use you to get a meal. This bitch can pay for her own meal. Thank you.
There you go.
If you're on a date with me, you know, that's expected, right? And if you don't know on what side of the street to walk on with me too, it's just like, we're like, motherfucker, I used to live in the South too. I know what a Southern gentleman is. So if you come at me and say, I'm from the South and I know about being a Southern gentleman, I'm like, okay, because our family is from the South, right? So they live in the South. And so I'm ready, right? I'm ready. Like my uncle, he fills up my aunt's car every Sunday. This woman, since the start of their marriage, has never put gas in her car. Yeah. For over 20 years. So, you know, say Southern gentleman to me. Like, I know what that is, right? And so
expectations.
Well, absolutely, right? You better not say it if you ain't it, right? You know, and then you don't know how to keep pace with me as we're walking, or you don't know what side of the street. I'm on the outside. Now, listen, man, I know I'm military, right? I know I'm Brown Water Navy. I know I could probably save your life before you could save mine, right? But I know what side of the street I'm supposed to walk on, right?
Right.
Then nobody teach you nothing. Like, I'm like, you from where? You said where in the South you from? Because I'm going to call your mama, because I don't think she raised you like this. I don't, you know, I'm going to tell her. And she's going to be mad at you. She's going to be mad at you. Your aunt. And then she call you grandma, because ain't no way I know. Don't come at me and say you a Southern gentleman. You don't fuck
Oh
that.
my goodness.
Don't fuck up. You want to conduct yourself as a gentleman, as you should on a date with me. It is an honor, right? Like, we are honoring each other's time to be with each other in that moment. Time is precious. You can't buy that. So I'm giving you that time where I could be saving somebody's life instead of spending time with you. Like, but that's just my PSA. Don't pretend to be a Southern gentleman and not a gentleman, or be a gentleman. Period. Because I'll just blast you. I'll just blast you. Look, our Southern gentleman ran away. He was like, "I'm done."
He's like, "I'm done." He's like, "I'm done." These girls have been on here for an hour and a half, and I've talked for 2 minutes.
I can't wait for him to see his next guest. It's just poor Jonathan.
Hey, that's on you. You've done this to yourself, so
right. I did kind of. I mean, it's true though. Like, when you say in dating experiences that you've had, like, just in general, like, I mean, people, they're like, "I'm a gentleman," and I'm like, "Okay, we'll see it."
Yeah.
Right. Actions speak louder than words.
I know. And I have a gentleman over there who's just like, I know, I'm just gonna do this, and I respect him being reciprocal. So he respects me being able to do my projects, and I respect that he made dinner exactly the way I wanted him to. So
right. And I firmly believe that we are divine feminine, right, and that men are a divine masculine. Right. And together, when you put that together, we co-create. Right. So no one is one above each other. Right. It is a co-creation. And when you join that together, you make creation. Right. As starting a family. And so that's very important. Like, I am not the kind of person that, like, they're like, "You're a little too much for me. You're a little too alpha," right? Like, you're whatever. And I'm like, no, the person that is my one that is supposed to be with me is a co-creator, right? And so that's why you view me as that, because you're not at this level of co-creation. You believe that you should be over me. That's never going to work in any relationship. There are times where in that partnership, you only have 20% left in you, right? And that partner comes in with 80%. And that's where that balance comes in of co-creation. And then when you're here, you're supposed to elevate together, right? Like, that is the goal of the elevation of that relationship, where it continues. And that when you first met each other while you were down here, now the progress of that relationship, the creation that you've created, being a creator together, has elevated you so much further up. And so, I don't think what I'm looking for is rare. I just think that it takes a lot to find that kind of level of breaking through all stereotypes and realizing that we are both powerful together. But when you merge, that's creation. So
absolutely,
you ran away.
No, he's like, "I have a plate." I was like, "Okay."
I ran away. I don't know what happened. My internet just decided it didn't want to work for a minute.
Oh, no.
But I'm back.
All right. Well, Jonathan, do you have any further questions for our lovely guest that came on? My questions are all completed at this time. What's your favorite cigar?
My go-to every day is a short story.
Okay, I like that.
I can do a Fuente short story every single day.
Jonathan, what's your favorite cigar? You don't have to pick one. I get it.
Honestly, like, I haven't smoked cigars for too long, but right now I really like the Sweet Janes.
Okay.
They're kind of, I don't know. I just like them.
Yeah.
Me, I love full flavors, right? So I don't have a brand. I just really like that punch.
Oh, a punch is classic. You can't go wrong with a punch at all. No.
Yeah, I just really like so I really love full flavors. I just can't. I'll try anything that's a full flavor, and some people are like, "Oh, it's super harsh." I don't think so, right? I think it's because I drink such a high proof of whiskey. Like, it just...
That's probably why.
Yeah, it just makes sense for me for that. But cigars are wonderful, and I hope people get into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a path of wonderfulness coming your way. If you
Very
just
true.
a little bit, like if you just take 1% of what we're the advice we're given today, your life will overall
It's going to
improve.
be amazing.
That's right.
I actually quit smoking cigarettes, and that's pretty much when I found that I enjoyed a good cigar. Well, I tried to smoke cigars when I was smoking cigarettes, but it was the habit of inhaling. I couldn't get over it, and I would choke the shit out of myself. So I actually learned to enjoy cigars a lot more once I quit smoking and lost that habit.
I never smoked cigarettes. I think cigarettes are just
neither did I.
The only thing I like to inhale is green. So
Go green.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a little bit of that before I go to bed, since my legs are having a moment right now. So
me too.
That's the reason why I did this in my bed tonight.
I'm gonna have a nightcap, and a smoke cap, and be happy and get a good night's rest because I can't sleep without it. Yep. So it's my go-to jam. But yes, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I really do.
So much.
I hope that people have gotten a whole new aspect about. We've covered various topics.
Yes.
I think that people don't even realize that what it's like to live with an autoimmune disease, or still fighting through that like you do with lupus, and then still being able to come out here and still empower people and still rock it in the whiskey world and still do tastings for cigars.
I do try.
And then still be a judge and help with go ahead.
Bikini competitions, because your girl hosts them at bike rallies.
Right. And, so her daddy had her doing that, and I was being raised in motorcycle bars.
There you go.
I was singing "People Fire Down Below," so I was. I sang the shit out of that song. So I mean, like we have a lot to learn and explore about each other.
Exactly.
And I just super appreciate you being my friend and coming on here. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate it for sure. And thanks, Jonathan, for letting
up with us.
I kind of, at some point during this episode, I kind of came to the realization that even though I'm part of Bourbon Battle Buddies, and this is the Bourbon Battle Buddies podcast, that I was super privileged to be the first person to listen to this podcast.
You're very welcome. See,
I completely enjoyed it.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
I actually wrote something down here. And once again, I like to try to finish episodes on a positive note. Not that this wasn't pretty much all positive.
Positive note.
Yeah. I wrote this down while y'all were talking, and it's I got the privilege of sitting here tonight, and you two are two very self-empowered women, which is it's not the way of old times, right? But it's the way we're heading to, and independence on any level is male or female, whatever. Independence is it's a necessity in today's world. But I just thought with the idea of self-empowerment that's probably the greatest power you'll ever feel is to be in control of your own outcome. So
absolutely, thank you for that. Thank you.
And I wrote down Uncle Nearest too, so we're going to try to make that happen.
Yes! Come on, kids.
My jersey is pump going.
I may or may not have some connections. I don't know.
Ooh, from your mouth to God's ears.
I learned how to jersey fist pump at DJs at Belmar. They are open on Saturday nights, and it is a good place to go on the Jersey Shore. Like I said, I know some pretty cool places to party at, and
I was just in Jersey, man. What's up?
You gotta be there on Saturday. We'll go through. It's right on the beach. It's a good surfing spot, And there's other spots away from there where like the pros go. So I don't want to like say where all the inlets are and stuff like that. But Belmar's it's a fun place to get down at.
Nice.
It's just
Nice.
if you need a place where you're like, I lost my girl. You listen to country music or something, your heart's fucking broken or something, and you're like, this bitch cheated on you and took the dog. Go to DJs at Belmar, get some drinks, and then go to Joe's Shack, not too far away from it, and you're gonna feel better, right? Like you go. It was a good place for me to heal, right? To go out after being raped in the military, and I was like, okay, I just need a place where I can feel safe and dance, and that's a popping place. So.
That was it. Awesome.
Absolutely. I can't let go of my locations in Fort Lauderdale. I just
Fort Lauderdale was awesome. I spent a good while there. That was a great, fun place to be.
Amen.
Desiree, it was fantastic to meet you.
Thank you so much for having me. Absolutely a pleasure.
If I know you got supper and family waiting on you, but if you got like 5 minutes to spare after we shut this down, I'd like to talk to you for just a second more.
Of course, absolutely.
And this was a good night.
Thank you.
And I hope everyone watching it gets something out of it. And you can find Desiree Simone. For those of you listening and not watching, you can check the description. We'll have all of her links up in the description. So with that, we will finish out with our usual song. This is Chris Turner with If You Drink.
Somewhere between Gallup and Winslow on an old stretch of Route 66. At the end of his rope, looking for hope, but he found this old bar here instead. The neon was dusty, the door hinges rusty, on the window a handwritten sign. Between the Paps and the Coors and the two swinging doors, faded words, but he read them just fine. If you cheat, hope it's death that you're cheating. If you lie with someone you love. If you fight, do it for the right reasons. If you drink, then come drink one with us. The whole place was packed. The waitress waved him on back, set him up on the last stool. She said, man, I can tell you've been going through hell. Well, we've all come out of there too, and we live by our own golden rule. If you cheat, hope it's death that you're cheating. If you lie with someone you love. If you fight, do it for the right reasons. If you drink, then come drink one with us. All we can do is the best that we can. So we're all sinners, forgivers, and friends. If you cheat, hope it's death that you're cheating. If you lie with someone you love. If you fight, do it for the right reasons. If you drink, then then come drink one with us. If you drink, then come drink one with us. Drink one with us.